Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I have a remarkable story to tell you about a driven young immigrant that came to America at 14 years old and built one of the biggest cutlery companies in the world. A company that spanned 16 different countries, and 7 different knifing companies were involved with this company, spanning a time of 148 years. And that brand is still selling today. A remarkable story. That company is Camillus Cutlery Company. And we're going to be talking about the history of Camillus. If that's something you might be interested in, go ahead and check out the video. That's a fart. Can you do a Billy Goat? No, you're spraying it. Say it, don't spray it. That's a pretty good Billy Goat. Okay, welcome back to the Fortified Castle. Hi to all my viewers. Bonjour, privet, guten tag, hola, ciao, and konnichiwa to my foreign viewers. And today we're going to be talking about the history of Camillus Cutlery Company. It's really complicated, as a lot of these companies are that have long histories, and this one does. But it's a fascinating story, and I hope to pass on information you have never heard before. Of course, I'm pretty sure I can do that. And let's start. And by the way, I'm going to be reading off of notes today because it's just a lot of stuff, and I don't want to miss anything. So the best way to do it is to go by notes. So it all starts in 1841 when Aaron Castor comes to the United States from Germany. He entered in through the South, through New Orleans, which was kind of unusual, but it had a purpose for that. And then he traveled to New York, got involved with a couple guys. He became a partner with a couple guys who had a hardware store up in New York. Thought those guys didn't know what they were doing. They didn't make any money. And so he pulled out of that partnership and started his own color or hardware business in 1846. So fast forward to 1870, and a young kid, 14-year-old kid, immigrates to the United States named Adolf Castor. So I'm not sure the relationship. Maybe Aaron was his uncle. I don't know. But by 1876, Adolf and his younger brother Nathan established their own hardware company in New York City. In 1879, Adolf takes his first trip to Sheffield, England, to set up buys and lines of import from Sheffield. And we're going to talk about that a little more in a little bit. In 1883, he came across a German guy selling German knives. He bought all the guys' samples, and they sold out really quickly. So at that point, he decided he wanted to sell to jobbers, people who were the go-betweens between people who wanted this cutlery to sell and people who were producing cutlery. And in 1887, Nathan went to Germany to open an office in Germany to, again, set up lines of import from German manufacturers into the United States. At the same time, their younger brother, Sigmund and August, join the firm, and the firm becomes Castor Brothers at that point in time. They adopt the clover leaf symbol, and the four-leaf clover symbolizes, right there it is. Whoop, come on. Right there. So the four-leaf clover symbolizes the four brothers: Adolf, Nathan, Sigmund, and I forgot the other guy already. August was his name, the other brother. So also at this point in time, Adolf is again in Sheffield, and he's been selling knives long enough that he's going to really make a big commitment in Sheffield. And so he partners with Alfred Williams. Some of you guys may be familiar with that name. That's the Embro trademark. And Williams also tells him that he can acquire the XL and T trademark from Joseph Westinghouse. I don't know whether Joseph was the brother of George or not. I don't know whether they're related, but he had a cutlery firm. Really didn't last too long, and so I don't really know whether they were acquired, related or not. So in 1887, he acquires the Embro and the XL&T trademark and imports knives from Alfred William Knives from Sheffield, and also Joseph Westinghouse knives. So in 1896, Nathan establishes and builds the Germania Cutlery Company. Some of you guys may have seen those knives. Those belong to the Castor brothers. And so he establishes that cutlery works in Oleg's Solingen and starts importing knives from there. Now, you're aware in 1890 we had the McKinley Tariff Act, which kind of made imports 50% more. So it really didn't pay to import those knives. So in 1902, Adolf buys Charles Sherwood's factory in Camillus, New York, and he names it Camillus Cutlery Company. And that is the founding of Camillus Cutlery Company. That said, Adolf continues to mainly run off the Castor Brothers brand. So the Camillus branding at that point is a secondary kind of branding for America. That's pretty interesting. In 1906, the sword brand was introduced. That's the cross swords. I don't know whether I have a good... Let me see. I think I have a good... you can see it right there. Cross swords. It's really not a good one. I wonder if I got a better one here. That's not cross swords. I got one somewhere. I'll show it to you in a minute. So I have a couple Castor Brother knives. I bought these because I had a few Camilluses in my collection. I wondered what the quality level on these knives are. And these are fantastic knives. Very high quality. This is a W.H. Morley and Sons marking. This is a Castor Brothers marking, and there's his trademark right there on it. And those were produced between 1913 and 1927 before he dropped those markings right there. You can see the Germany on it. Some of them were made in Austria, but these were made in Germany. And that's how I know the date of these knives, by the way, that they're early. Here's another one. It's a 4-blade equal end penknife. Really high quality knives. These things are great. You can hear the snap on these knives. Another branding was A.W. Wadsworth. This is a lower quality knife. These were kind of like your average third tier type of knives. Let's see if I can get that in for you. A.W. Wadsworth. And you can see it a little better there. A.W. Wadsworth and Company, Germany. All of these are kind of some of the earliest brands that they made. So, in 1913, Sigmund, one of the younger brothers, partners with W.S. Butcher. Some of you guys may be familiar with that. A very well respected brand in Sheffield, England. And so W.S. Butcher is sending knives to America through Sigmund to Adolf, or Camillus at this time. So they also make a bid around this time, 1906. They tried to buy Joseph Wostenholm and Son, and George Wostenholm sued, and so that was prevented by a court. But they continued on with the W.S. Butcher brand for a while. In 1914 to 1918, they made military knives for Canada, the British, the U.S. Navy, the Red Cross, and the Dutch. And then in 1922, Albert Bear joins the firm. You may know that name. He founded Ulster Knife Company and eventually bought out Imperial and Camillus later on. In 1923, Albert Bear landed the Sears and Roebuck account. That's when the Stay Sharp brand comes out. And that branding of Stay Sharp, I think, ran to 1940. Those were Sears knives that they made. Camillus went on to be the largest contract provider to other companies. So among the companies they provided knives to was Hibbard, Bartlett, and Spencer, or Hibbard, Spencer, and Bartlett, Shipley, Van Camp, Henry Sears and Sons, Buck, Remington, Case, Schrade. So Camillus made the all the parts for the Schrade IXL knives that were then made in England. In 1924, they came out with this. This was a subsidiary. It's called Stainless Cutlery Company. And this company produced all their stainless steel knives. I'm not really sure why they did that. People weren't really keen on stainless steel. Maybe they didn't want to apply their name to it. It's just crazy. You see their mark right there. It's just kind of crazy the way people reacted to stainless steel. Queen Cutlery used stainless steel almost exclusively, and there was so much blowback with them using stainless steel that they changed from putting stainless steel on their knives to saying it was Queen City steel. They didn't change the steel. They still used stainless, but it was because of all the blowback from the public. So maybe that's why they went to that stainless company. This branding lasted to 1940 before they stopped doing it. Okay, what else we got here? In 1925, the partnership with W.S. Butcher ended. That's when Durham Duplex bought W.S. Butcher. And then in 1927, Adolf retires, and the reins of the company passes to his son, Alfred. In 1931, the Kent trademark opens up. These knives were sold out of F.W. Woolworths. really big company. A lot of you guys probably don't know who they were. You can look them up, but it was like a Sears and Roebuck type of company, department store company. This is a really good knife too, by the way. Probably dates to the 50s, I think. And let's keep rolling. Okay, had to find where I'm at. In 1936, the Streamline trademark was registered, and also Camco. I do have a model of Camco. I don't really collect Camillus knives, so I have like one example of each one. This is a Camco knife here, dates I think to the 70s. Camco branding lasted a long time. This was their lower end branding. Lower end kind of not a junk knife. I call these nice price point knives. So pretty good build on the knife. You know, they held up well, but they just weren't made as well as some of the other Camillus knives. Mobley Peg. Around this time, all these things come out. Mobley Peg. That's a very rare branding. You don't see them very often. Ran from 1937 to 1948. Syracuse Knife Company. Let's see. I think I've got a Syracuse. This is a really nice penknife right here. Syracuse knife. You see it right there. Ran 1935 to 1940. Really nice knife. You guys have seen this before. Who else are we forgetting? Okay, I think that's about it for that time frame. In 1941, Albert Baer left the company of Camillus to start Ulster Knife Company. And then from 1942 to 1945, Camillus made millions of knives for the war effort. There's some pictures up there showing you the different type of knives that were used in the war. And these knives here are all warrior knives right here. They have the steel on them. Pretty good knives, but you have to remember these knives aren't really finely crafted. Some of them are pretty nice though, but they didn't need to be for the war effort. That's the United States Navy one. This is a general utility knife. This thing, I actually bought this out of England, and it's in almost mint condition. Just fantastic. See it right there. It's a 4-line. Camillus is up at the top. Really good shape though. So I didn't clean this up. I just cleaned it off a little with steel wool. This thing is like mint condition. TL 29 from the war years. And then a rope knife right there. So a couple other knives I have pre-war. This is a sword brand knife right here. That is 4-line pre-war. This one right here is from 1933. This was a World Fair knife, and you can see the date right there, 1933, Chicago. It's okay. You know, it's just, these were basically advertising knives. Pretty cool. And then this one is pre-war. I think I showed you that already. Sword brand. And this one right here is pre-war. Whoa, 1976. I'm sorry about that. That goes up here. That's a from 1960 to 1976. There's a branding on that one. Okay, so that's all the war series knives. Camillus come out of the war in a pretty solid footing, a lot better than a lot of knife companies. Case almost went broke before the war broke out, so their contracts with the military allowed them to survive. It was a really tough time. In 1938, Germany seized Germania Cutlery Works. So these Castor Brother knives that came out of Germany, 1938, that all ended. And they were just producing knives out of the United States. In 1947, they dropped the Castor Brothers branding and just used Camillus from that point on. In 1960, Albert Bear, I think it was actually 1963, Albert Bear bought Camillus for his daughter. That was kind of nice, huh? So that's these knives up here. This is a 1946 to 1955 knife. And this is a pretty crappy knife. You can see the plastic handles on it. And it's not too good. This one's not much better, but this one's a newer knife. You have the long line there, so that's 1960 to 1976 that they used that. Here's another one, a Model 21. This is a carpenter's knife, they called this. And 3 blades, pretty nice knife. This is one of my favorite Camillus models right there. Here's a little penknife. Nice little threads there. Delrin. And that's a 1960s to 76. This is an electrician knife, almost exactly like a TL. And this would date from 1960 to 1976. And this is a marking after 1976. And that ran up until, I think, the time till they went out of business. And this is an okay knife. It's a 3rd tier knife. These aren't really fine knives, but they're okay. This is a knife made in between 1980 and 1985, I believe, and that's a buck 510. And Camillus made these for $1. So that is a Camillus job there. It's absolutely fantastic. From, man, I'm getting confused with all these dates. This is a predate Buck. So Buck started taking over the production of our knives in 1986. This is made by Camillus right here. And this is another Camillus produced Buck right there. And this is a 1989 Remington, and this was produced by Camillus. Camillus started making Remington knives in 1986, and that went on until 2007 when they went broke. All right, so in 2001, they started collaborations with custom knife makers like Jerry Frist produced a Bowie knife for them. Daryl Ralph produced titanium frame tactical folders for them. And they started gathering people around them that had military, law enforcement, and survival type of backgrounds to help them produce better knives. In 2009, this is after the company had gone bankrupt. Who bought them? Who was that? Hold on just a second. Okay, sorry about that. Acme United Corporation bought the rights to the company, relaunched the line in 2009. And I think most of those were made overseas, either in Japan or China. In 2009, the line was completely revamped with mostly modern folders. In 2011, they partnered with Les Stroud, the survivalist, to build survival knives. In 2013, they relaunched in Europe and started exporting to Australia, South Africa, and the Philippines also. And so just last year, 2023, around November, GSM Outdoors acquired them. And so that's a really positive thing. And I haven't had any of these knives from 2006 up. So if any of you guys have bought their knives when they were Acme United Core, put in the comments, what kind of knives they were. Did you like them? Do they hold up? That kind of thing. Help the viewers out as much as we can. And I'm put some pictures up there for you on GSM. And that's where we stand now. So just a fantastic company overall. I didn't cover this knife. This is a 1950s Mark II. You can see the U.S. marked on it. It's not World War II, but it could have been used in Korea or even Vietnam. I'm pretty sure that's a 1950s. I don't know. It could have been used in Vietnam. I'm not really sure. But anyhow, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you found it informative. I know it was kind of long with a lot of stuff to go over there, a lot of history. Fantastic company. It's still going. So it's made me actually want to check out some of these Camillus knives coming out of GSM. So thanks again for your support, guys, and thanks for watching.